Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for being at our celebration here today. For those who don't know me, my name is Kevin Law. I'm a proud member of the Tritec family and very happy to kick off our event today. And just already lost the first page of somebody's notes. They're not mine. Who's ever noticing where they're now under the iPad when you come up. So, we're going to start off, and if you're able to, I'm going to ask you to stand, and I'm going to ask our esteemed County Executive Ed Romaine to lead us off with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. You can be seated. So what a beautiful day for Bayshore, for the town of Islip, and for Suffolk County. Let's give a beautiful round of applause for a beautiful day for the Coghlan family, and a beautiful day for the Tritec family. Now, we don't have that many speakers today, but there are a bunch of acknowledgments, and I'm going to read them alphabetically, so bear with me. There's so many people. A project like this doesn't happen without many arms and heads and hands helping us get it done. So I'd like to acknowledge with us here today is Eric Alexander from Vision, Long Island, Valdores Bobels from the town of Islip, the Vice Chairman Kevin Brown of the town of Islip Planning Board, Ernie Canava from the town of Islip, Legislator Nick Caracappa, Suffolk County Legislator, Supervisor Angie Carpenter, who I'll introduce shortly, Peter Cavallero, the Mayor of Westbury, Brian Ferriggieri, town of Islip Planning Board. We have Legislator Steve Flotterum. We have Councilman Ed Friedland. We have Jared Gandado, New York State Assemblywoman. We have Councilman Jorge Guadron from the town of Islip. My friend Brad Hemingway from the Director of the Islip Foreign Trade Zone. Leah Jefferson, the Director of Community Development for Suffolk County. Former legislator Sidney Joyner from the county. Assistant Town Attorney and an old friend of mine, Mia Knapp. Chief of Staff to Angie Carpenter, Tracy Crutt. We have Director of Planning for Suffolk County, Sarah Lansdale. Councilman John Lorenzo, New York State Senator Mario Matera. Tim Matamore from the town of Islip Planning Board. He's not with us here today. He's out of town, but Legislative Presiding Officer Kevin McCaffrey, Michael Moriarty from the town of Islip Planning Board, Councilman James O'Connor, and Town Engineer Chris Polkner. We also have New York State Assemblyman Phil Ramos, someone who I'll introduce in a few minutes, Suffolk County Executive Ed Romaine. We have a dear friend from the adjoining town, Babylon Town Supervisor Richie Schaefer, and we have John Walzer. He's the Director of Economic Development for the town of Islip. And that's it. Now a round of applause for all of our special guests. Our first speaker, someone who has become a dear friend, she really is becoming a leader of our region, and I think the future for our region is bright. Go for it. Is going to be great with somebody like Kelly Copeland. Kelly, please come on.
So, good afternoon. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to our esteemed officials and dignitaries, and I would like to thank you all for joining us here today. We're greatly appreciative for each and every one of you and the role that you had in developing Shoregate. As I know I speak on behalf of the entire Tritec team when I say that we are so happy, so excited, so grateful to be a part of this really special community here in Bayshore. And I lastly just want to thank the weather gods for favorably looking upon us today. So if you'll bear with me, I'm just going to take a few minutes to discuss the project that we're sitting in here tonight. Shoregate is located on 10.3 acres in the heart of Bayshore, located across the street from the Bayshore train station, 1 block north of Main Street, Montauk Highway, and a short half-mile walk from the Fire Island Ferries. Our initial conversations about this project, about this site, date back to 2018. With the Touro College folks, former owner of this property, Islip's town supervisor, Angie Carpenter, and the president of the Bayshore Chamber of Commerce, Donna Periconi. And since then, the property has been rezoned to the Downtown Development District, a zoning code designed by the town to quote-unquote strengthen the social and economic stability of the town's hamlet centers by improving the working, shopping, and living environment. And as we've seen in past projects, these types of developments will certainly do that. Not only is our region in desperate need for more multifamily rental housing, but multifamily housing in downtown communities will help provide the necessary feet on the street to further aid in enhancing the area's vibrancy, to provide and expand the housing choices to accommodate a growing and changing population, and to help attract a workforce needed to sustain a vibrant economy. Today, this transit-oriented development is comprised of 418 homes, spanning from studios to 3-bedroom units, with 1,650 square feet of retail space, which I'm thrilled to announce has been leased to Roto, a go-to eatery formerly located along Main Street. Of the 418 homes, 84 have been set aside as affordable housing, thanks to the support of a $2.52 million subsidy from Suffolk County Department of Economic Development and Planning. We have a housing crisis here on Long Island, and Tritec strives to be at the forefront to help resolve those issues. These projects have a significant impact on our economy, our environment, and the communities in which we work. And because of that, it is vital that these decisions, these projects, be done so thoughtfully and in collaboration with local community partners. I am proud to say that this project is on track to receive the National Green Building Standard Silver certification and boasts, it's a flag, it's like a bird. And with the exception of some minor amenity features, this project is fully electric and boasts Energy Star products, various stormwater management techniques, and rooftop solar panels. Shoregate includes extensive interior and exterior amenity spaces, a fitness and aerobic center, club rooms, lounges, pet spa, game rooms, a golf simulator, co-working space, a swimming pool, barbecue stations, fire pits, a rooftop deck. The list goes on, and for those of you that have not yet toured the property, I would encourage you to do so after the ceremony. This project is a $173 million investment in the hamlet of Bayshore, and I am very grateful to have our partners and lenders here with us today for their support, their friendship, and their confidence in both us and this community. I'd also like to acknowledge the critical role of the Town of Islip IDA. We certainly would not be sitting here today without their support. This project has supported over 900 direct on-site construction jobs with nearly $35 million in earnings, and once stabilized, Shoregate's residents are anticipated to generate over $19 million in annual discretionary income, of which 70%, or approximately $13.4 million, is projected to be spent within the Town of Islip annually. And further, this property has now been put back on the tax rolls, as it had been formerly owned by Touro College and various municipal agencies over the past decades. While I am proud and thrilled to be celebrating the official grand opening of Shoregate today, Shoregate is already considered home to many people. In fact, today we are over 51% leased and over 30% occupied. So I've taken up way too much time already. And the thank you portion of today's speech is going to happen at the end of this ceremony, but I would be remiss if I didn't take a brief moment to extend my sincere gratitude to all of you. As the saying goes, it takes a village, as Kevin alluded to. So to our friends in government at the Town of Islip and Suffolk County, with a special thank you to Supervisor Carpenter for her leadership and her vision. To the local community, with a special thank you to Donna Periconi for her belief in and unwavering support for this project. To our financial partners and lenders for providing the funding necessary to make this project a reality. To all our consultants and lawyers and subcontractors that played instrumental roles throughout the life of this project. from land acquisition through entitlements and design, financing, through construction, and now leasing. And last, but certainly not least, a huge, huge, huge thank you to the tremendous effort of our greater Tritec family. You all deserve a round of applause and thanks. Congratulations.
Great job, Kelly. Thank you. Before I introduce our next speaker, I wanted to acknowledge somebody else who I promised, if he made it here today, I would give him a special shout out because he was very involved with this project and we couldn't have done it without him. And the old expression that God is good all the time and all the time that God is good, he saved our good friend Howie Stein, our attorney who overcame quite a battle recently. And I don't know where you are, Howie, but you stand up so everybody can acknowledge you. And a former official who has been talking about affordable housing for decades and the need for more housing, my good friend, former Suffolk County Executive Pat Halpin's here with us. Pat. And that's a good segue into our next speaker. Dear friend, we go back many years. And he's just a great guy. I had the privilege of co-chairing his transition team with my friend Angie Carpenter, our great new Suffolk County Executive, Ed Romaine.
Well, thank you, Kevin. Look at this. It's gorgeous, it's beautiful, and it's here in Bayshore. And it was built by some of the finest builders that this island has seen, the Cochran family. And if you doubt that, look at Patchogue, look at Ronkonkoma, look at Shoregate, and look at so many other projects that they've been involved in. Thank you to the vision of our supervisor, Angie Carpenter, and her town board. It takes vision to see what a former college parking lot could be. County of Suffolk contributed $2.5 million, a little bit more than $2.5 million to purchase the land to make this happen. Let me be clear. We stand in favor of affordable housing and projects like this. And if anyone has anything else on their planning board, and they have a supervisor like Angie Carpenter, come and see us. We have some money. We want to see more affordable housing in this county, and we want to see quality housing such as built by Tritec. So thank you, gentlemen. And as it was said, there's 418 apartments here, 84 of which are affordable to people making 80% of the average median income of the area. This is great. We need more housing like this, and I stand ready to work with the builders, the developers, and people like our supervisor, Angie Carpenter, to make sure that this happens in Suffolk County. God bless you, much success, but all you have to do is look at this development and understand. You're changing lives, you're changing communities, and my congratulations to all the town board members, as well as Angie, and the Chamber of Commerce and Donna for all of their work on this. Thank you. God bless you. This is going to be a great community. Shoregate. Let's go.
Thank you, Ed. As I mentioned before, our next speaker, a dear friend, we had the privilege of chairing Ed's transition team. We were talking several times a day, sometimes dozens of times a day. We spent our Christmas vacation together, working for, helping Ed get started. She's a regional leader, she's a county leader, and she's certainly leading the town of Islip terrifically. She's been a great partner in the Tritec in this project. Ladies and gentlemen, Supervisor Angie Carpenter.
Thank you so much, Kevin, for the kind words. County Executive Romaine, we're so glad you're there leading our county. We're going to see many more things like this. Kelly, I remember the day that she came into the office with part of her team, and we talked about their vision for this property. At the time, it was Touro School of Health Sciences, but before that was the derelict Suffolk County, the county center, I guess we called it, and it had a myriad of uses over the years. Unemployment office, a court, just within social services, it was a health center, and Touro came along and transformed it into a college campus, and that really helped start Bayshore on its road to success. And this development is truly a picture book example of what transit-oriented development is all about. You've got the bus stop in front on Union Boulevard, you've got the train station across the street, you're 2 blocks from the ferry in Fire Island, and a short Uber ride away from Long Island McArthur Airport. And Kelly, you said it, 418 homes, not apartments, because these are homes to people. And everyone who's coming here, I've heard of so many people who have signed leases already, who can't wait to move in, who are so excited about all of the amenities that you're offering. But when Kelly came in that day, I said, if you want this to happen, because it truly was a stretch to have over 400 apartments built in this area, I said, you've got to get buy-in from the community. And the first stop you have to make is to the Chamber of Commerce President, Donna Perricone. And Kelly met with her, and they became fast friends. And the rest is history. Donna was very instrumental in advocating for the project. There are not many who have vision to see what something like this could be. People are afraid of change, and it takes intestinal fortitude to bring you across the finish line. So to everyone who is involved, and I am so blessed to be the supervisor of a town like Islip that has so many opportunities and has a team alongside of me with our town board. And I know that Councilman Mike McGelway, who represents this area of the town in his council district, is here. Mike, please stand so they can see you. And even though it is not his district, he's here supporting the project, Councilman John Lorenzo. And to the other members of the town board who could not be here, understand that we welcome development when it is appropriate, when it's embraced by the community, because that is going to get us to sustainability as a region. Because I say this time and time again, we can't raise taxes and people don't want services cut. And the only way you're going to exist and survive and thrive for the long term is to have appropriate sustainable development, and this certainly does that. And one more shout out to Matt Cohen from the LIA, who just spends an inordinate amount of time trying to promote our region, and we do live in a special place. Thank you all so very, very much.
Thank you, Angie. Our next speaker is just an all-around terrific guy, one of the founders of Tritec 35 plus years ago. He's really one of the smartest guys I've met, but he's also one of the most caring guys I've ever met, and that is one of the principals of Tritec, my dear friend Jim Cotton.
Thank you, Kevin. Let's see what you do with my notes. got those. So I'm sort of the interlude between the government leaders that have been speaking, and the next leaders are going to be our community leaders and our business leaders that are going to be speaking. And I do want to thank, in particular, County Executive Romaine for being here, for all you've done. We've worked together a lot, much more Concoma Hub, and now on this, and we're thrilled that you're in the spot that you're in, because you're going to do great things for our county. And, Supervisor Carpenter, we would not have put the first dollar into this if you didn't pledge that you were going to be a political champion for it. You lived up to that every step of the way, and we really, really appreciate it. And down at Paracone, exact same thing. We would not have, nothing would happen in Bayshore without you, so we're going to say, until you said you were going to support it 100%, we would not put those first dollars into this project. So, and along with them at the beginning of this project, I also want to recognize our good friend Howie Stein. Howie brought us here. Howie was on the board of Touro and thought that it was a good idea to bring Tritec in. There you are, Howie. Bring Tritec in to redevelop the site. And Howie's been a great friend and a great counselor and advisor to our family and our business for decades. And can't thank you enough, Howie. Thank you very much. So I also, part of my job in speaking today is to give a little snapshot of some of the hurdles and status of the multifamily industry and business here on the island. As you know, we're the first suburb in the United States, and most people that came here from Brooklyn and Queens, and most people had a fear of density and a fear of diversity. And many other suburbs were built over the subsequent decades, places like Fairfield, Connecticut, and, northern New Jersey, and Alexandria, Virginia, and Bethesda, Maryland. And they were more willing to embrace the idea of nodes of density and understood that those nodes of density and feet on the street energized their downtowns, created an economic base that supported the rest of their community. And study after study have shown how these types of projects support every single layer of government to a higher level than before they happened. Every layer of school district or library district, any stakeholder is better off after it's done than before it was done. And we're very fortunate that we have leadership here, and there is a groundswell of change, both politically and grassroots-wise, to allow these projects to happen. But historically, there's been a lot of resistance on the island. And that's why we have, only 20% of our housing stock is multifamily versus those other great areas that I mentioned. They're 35 to 40% of their housing stock is rental housing. And it makes a big difference. It makes a big difference in their economic resiliency. We've got 2 huge medical centers being built right here. They're going to have to attract people from off of Long Island to move here. One of their biggest challenges is where they're going to live. And these people make a very good living. But there's just no choices for where they're going to live. And speaking of housing choices, the type of housing that we want as Long Islanders has changed over the years. In the 1970s, 50% of our households were 2 married adults with kids in the house. And less than 10%, I think it was 9% of our households were 1 person. And now, these days, only 25% of our households are 2 married adults with kids in the house, and over 20% of our households are 1 person. But our housing stock has barely changed over that time period. It's still overwhelmingly single-family homes, and we're still dramatically undersupplied in multifamily. So we appreciate the fact that you guys are all here today. It means that you have supported this project in one way or another. And as Kelly pointed out, we can't be more appreciative. I also want to put a quick shout out to Maddie Arasich, who's here, right? The men and women of labor have been huge on this project, and as they are on all of our projects, and we can't thank you enough for that. But this is a very high-cost area. It's a really high-cost area to do business. I hate to tell you, Maddie, but labor's expensive here, and it's expensive to live here, high taxes. We compete as developers. Our hardest thing that we compete for is, number 1, to get things approved, so the political leadership is huge. But number 2 is we have to get the money to build it. And as Kelly said, it's $173 million invested here. And as great as Tritec has been the past 35 years, we don't stroke that check, okay? We're not stroking a $175 million check to build this building. We need to go off of Long Island, find investors and banks that will put their money onto Long Island, but that money can go anywhere. It doesn't have to come here, right? And so we compete for that capital with every other multifamily opportunity across the nation. And with our high taxes and our high costs, right now, without IDA assistance, without the support of the IDAs that we have here on the island, these projects do not pencil out. I mean, they barely pencil out with the full IDA acceptance right now, just given that SOFR has gone up by 2,000% in the past 2 years. So, it's a very difficult place to get things approved, and I just implore all the leaders here, if you're thinking about new regulations or restrictions on the development of housing, supply is the answer here, right? And 65% of our housing stock is more than 50 years old. But the rents on those 50-year-old apartments, which have no amenities and cost 1/5 of what this costs to build, are only a couple of few $100 a month less than what we charge, because there's no supply, there's no competition. And those landlords in those cheaper buildings can still get a lot of rent. The more we can create supply, is the only way to address affordability. And any restriction that we place, we've got plans for increased prevailing wage. We've got plans for expanding good cause eviction, which is really a misnomer. That means universal rent control. We've got plans for requirements of for sale housing versus rental housing to a restriction. We've got increased requirements for affordability for sewer connections proposals. I would just ask, please study these things with a third-party economist or think tank and get the feedback. How will that affect the creation of new supply on Long Island? Because we are desperately in need of new supply. Every time we put a restriction, we become less competitive to get that capital to come here, because other areas don't have those restrictions, and they'll go to where there aren't those restrictions. So if we're going to put those restrictions in, we limit our ability to get capital. That's going to reduce the new supply. That's going to exacerbate our affordability problem. So I implore you, as you think about any new restrictions or costs being imposed on the completion of new units, to have that studied as to what that will do to the creation of new supply. As I said, there's bright shoots. The fact that all these people are positive in favor of a project like this, and politically it's become much more of a positive thing to be around a project like this than it was 10 years ago. All of that are great signs for the future. So again, no matter what your role was here, even if it was just to lend a positive statement or a positive thought, I thank you. We thank you from the bottom of our hearts. You've all been making a positive change possible, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Our next speaker is someone I met about 15 years ago. I was actually running the Long Island Power Authority at the time, and she came and told me what a stupid idea it would be for LIBN to proceed with an offshore wind farm 2 miles off the coast of Robert Moses State Park. And she was absolutely right. And so we decided they should be beyond the horizon, beyond where they could be seen. And so we suggested that they go 16 miles out or further, and that's what's happening today. And she was a big part of that, and she's been a tremendous supporter of this project. She runs the Bayshore Chamber of Commerce in the Business Improvement District, and she was critically valuable to this process. Ladies and gentlemen, Donna Pericaro.
I think you understand now, with the effort I had to make to get up on this podium, how much this project and the Coglins mean to me. Just lower it a little bit. It is a pleasure to welcome all of you to Bayshore this afternoon, and what a beautiful afternoon it is. It was in September 2018 that I first met Bob and Kelly Coglin at our chamber office. They came to introduce themselves and were seeking input about any development possibilities for the Touro campus in downtown Bayshore. No, we didn't want more medical offices. Sadly, we knew few retail shops would open their doors in this difficult retail climate. So, as a former Bronx girl, I remember suggesting to them that a botanical gardens would be ideal on these 10.5 acres. Like the Bronx Botanical Gardens, we could call it the Bayshore Botanical Gardens, right in the heart of downtown Bayshore. Well, here we are today at a ribbon cutting, celebrating the opening of luxury apartments in Bayshore. You can't win them all. Before I continue, I do want to take a moment to mention the high regard our Bayshore community has for Touro College of Health Sciences. In 1999, Touro came to Bayshore from Dix Hills, a site they had outgrown. Let me tell you, there were few others who considered making such a move to Bayshore at that time. In the early 1990s, some of you remember 43% of Main Street was either vacant or boarded up, and homeless neighbors were wandering about everywhere. Our school system was failing, our social and economic problems were prevalent. Everyone had just about given up on Bayshore, but we didn't. After decades of decline, we realized that Bayshore's future lay in our own hands. The people of Bayshore have always understood the importance of community. For 300 years, they loved the community they had, and they weren't about to leave it behind. Touro College had confidence in us. They literally turned us into a college town. With their arrival, our blighted train station, a total disgrace, was finally transformed into a new, attractive, and safe facility with an overpass for the convenience of commuters. Our dear Senator Owen Johnson secured the millions of dollars needed from Albany for the change. For decades, I called Senator Johnson the patron saint of Bayshore, and he was, because all he did was secure monies for our never-ending revitalization efforts. Bayshore never forgets. We wished our good friends at Touro only the very best as they embarked in a new direction. I liked the Coglins in 2018. And in the past 6 years, I've grown to like them even more. Just imagine the situation they faced a few years ago. Interested in investing in Bayshore, before they knew what was happening, they were faced with the pandemic. We really weren't sure if they would continue moving forward with their plans, but they did, and we are very grateful. An investment of $173 million in Bayshore certainly shows their confidence in our hamlet. Of course, we visited their completed apartment developments, the Shipyard in Port Jefferson, New Village in Patchogue, the Ronkonkoma Hub, and the Well in Lindenhurst. We spoke to many of the residents there, government friends, members of school boards, church personnel, and it was unanimous, all words of acclaim for Tritec. It's because their developments are extraordinary, with beautiful exteriors, interiors, lobbies, gardens, courtyards, landscaping, pools, fitness centers, dog walking services, and entertainment resources. Their tenants enjoy a lifestyle of comfort and luxury. Some Bay Shore residents were opposed to such a large apartment development in a historic 300-year-old hamlet filled with mostly single-family homes. But we know Long Island is changing, and Bay Shore must not be left behind. We must continue to be forward-thinking. A different population now wishes to live here and enjoy the marina, Fire Island, our great beaches and parks, our historic sites, our fine restaurants and unique stores. They are no longer interested in spending every leisurely moment of their lives working on the interiors or exteriors of their houses every weekend, as we did. These young people have disposable income and will feed Bay Shore's downtown. Many of them will continue to work from home now, using their $400 monthly commuter ticket to rent a better place in which to live. These apartments are also welcoming senior citizens, many of whom are selling their houses right now, looking for a work-free, carefree home in our downtown where they can enjoy their retirement years. Tritec recognized the value of a 300-year-old historical coastal community whose residents and businesses worked tirelessly for decades to bring Bay Shore back. We relearned, we re-emphasized our proud nautical heritage and legacy. We started with the installation along Main Street of hundreds of beautiful seafaring lampposts and handsome red brick pavers, all acquired with grants. We studied the history of Bay Shore's grand waterfront estates that were owned by great Bay Shore commodores and entrepreneurs. Commodore Molinaro called his estate Homeport. Charles Goulden, the mustard mogul, called his estate Nether Bay. Thomas Adams, the chiclets gum magnate, named his mansion Ardmore. And Deerwood was the summer residence of Robert Pinkerton, son of Alan Pinkerton, who uncovered the assassination plot of Lincoln in March of 1861. Our years of research also revealed the names of the numerous majestic yachts that sailed the Great South Bay. Gaiety, owned by Richard High, Simon Rothschild's yacht Lillian, the Amy Forster, owned by R.J. Campbell Smith, to name but a few. We learned about hotels like the Linwood, the Prospect House, and the Dolmany House. The more we learned, the more we were motivated to work harder to recapture these memories that are a part of our proud nautical history. Tritec chose Shoregate for the name of their development. How appropriate. These luxury apartments may be reminiscent of the wealth and splendor enjoyed by earlier Bay Shore residents in the 20th century. Shoregate reflects Bay Shore's nautical history with unparalleled architectural design, including a beautiful lobby entrance right here on 4th Avenue, townhouse buildings with shutters and balconies and porches, and brick steps and wrought iron banisters and other seafaring appointments. The Tritec principals were a pleasure to work with. They welcomed our design requests and arranged for us to sit with their wonderful architect, Sal Coco. Sal, I know you're here. Could you stand for a moment? His staff allowed us to select architectural styles, materials, colors appropriate for this location. I must tell you, and I tell everyone all the time, nothing instills pride in people like history. That's the vehicle that brings people to a place where they must try to save their communities. Murals of the mansions and yachts of the wealthy will line the Great Hall and other halls and club rooms of the apartments. Check out the Bay Breezeway, the fitness room, Ship Shape, Harbor Landing, stowaways for bicycles. I am taking this special day to talk about Bayshore. It's important, this may be the last time, I've done this for 27 years, that I'll be referring to this community. It wasn't my home community, but I've loved it dearly. I say with no hesitation, the best people in the world live in Bayshore. Unlike other hamlets, Bayshore has never once shouted NIMBY. We have always taken everyone that wanted to come here, everything we didn't want. The Suffolk County Department of Social Services that Angie alluded to came into this parcel. It caused us great problems. We had difficult people using it. We had some crime, some difficulties. Let me continue. Decades ago, they put a methadone clinic on Shore Lane, which is a beautiful upscale residential area in Bayshore, at the corner of a private street, where a school bus stopped every day and the children would see syringes on the floor. You couldn't make this up. All over Suffolk County, the methadone clinics are on highways, but in Bayshore, it was put on a residential corner. It took me 3 years to get rid of that, okay? Next. When the mental patients were released from Suffolk County psychiatric centers, hospitals, where do you think they settled? They were put into Bayshore. Many of you will remember the Bay Bright Hotel in downtown Bayshore and the difficulties we had. For decades, we have fed the poor at St. Patrick's Hospitality Center on Main Street every single day, and we gladly do it. We still do it today. 11 Maple Avenue was the home to drug addicts and alcoholics, and we had to find new homes for those people when the owner was demolishing the building. Suffolk County didn't help us one bit. I went to see the commissioner to see if she would give me security deposits to help these 74 people. Nothing. Bayshore had to raise thousands and thousands of dollars for their security deposits. I'm glad you're here. Edgar May. We raised the money to help them, as we have done all the time. The governor talks about affordable housing. Bayshore has always welcomed all kinds of housing developments in our hamlet. We never, ever refused affordable housing like most of other hamlets. If you look out here, you'll see on Mechanicsville Road our beautiful Cortlandt Square. Single-family homes built in 2011. They're all affordable housing. North of here on 3rd Avenue, you'll see Sunnybrook Court condominiums built over a decade ago. All affordable housing. A few streets west of this location on Smith Avenue is Southwind Village that was built in 2000. It is a street of 78 single-family homes with a few apartments. All affordable housing. They are as well-maintained, attractive, and desirable today as they were when built 24 years ago. And just a year ago, Bay Park opened on Mechanicsville Road with 78 apartments, the first suburban apartment complex for LGBT seniors. Also affordable housing. Bayshore has always understood inclusiveness. We recognize the importance of affordable housing before most communities in Isletown and Suffolk County. We welcome workforce housing. Another reason why Bayshore is unique and remarkable and admired by all. We have always chosen to do the right thing. I want to mention Peter Elkowitz and James Britz, who I know are here today. I don't. Our organization has always, we stand at the very wall. Our organization has always recognized the importance of these men and the Long Island Housing Partnership that they have run for decades. They have made the process of a home ownership real for thousands of Long Island residents every year, and many of them from Bayshore, and we greatly appreciate all their efforts. So in conclusion, I'm sure you're glad, we're coming together today to recognize what I believe will be one of Bayshore's last revitalization efforts. And we are so glad that it is Tritec that is doing it. They are developers of integrity, and they have taste, and they care about Long Island and its traditions and its history. I wish to thank Tritec, Pecado, and the entire Tritec team for this most lovely ribbon cutting. So well done. Compliments to Chris Kelly. And with great pride, I wish to acknowledge the generosity, and you'll see it in a few hours, the generosity and service of Bayshore's great restaurants and breweries. We are so fortunate to have the kind of restaurants we do on Main Street. They never say no, never. Thank you all for coming. Have a good day. I'll take this.
Thank you so much, Donna. In November, Tritec was very fortunate to host Governor Hochul, Governor Kathy Hochul here. Her and Angie Carpenter strolled through the place as it was the finishing touches were being put on it. And we're very happy to have Governor Hochul's Long Island representative, Rob Clarko, with us here today. So Rob, thank you very much. The business community was so helpful to Tritec, always has been. I had the privilege of leading the LIA, Long Island Association, for almost 11 years. And by my side for all of those years was my right-hand person, Matt Cohen. He has, not only was he my right-hand person there, he was my right-hand person at the Long Island Power Authority, and he was my right-hand person when I worked for the county as the Chief Deputy County Executive. He's doing a terrific job leading the Long Island Association, but more importantly, he's a regional leader and a very dear friend. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Cohen.
One of the good things about not working for Kevin is I don't have to stand next to him so much anymore, so tall, so short. I figure when you're one of the last speakers, it's best to be brief, so I'll just, 4 sentences. 1, Angie, I love you too. Thank you for your incredible leadership and for being an incredible person. 2, I think we actually should give a round of applause to the mayor of Long Island, my former boss, who's done more meaningful things for Long Island than probably anybody else in his lifetime and career, so Kevin Lowe. 5 sentences. I thought it was 3, thank you to the Coughlin family, one of the great Long Island families, really, and believe in Long Island, have invested hundreds of millions of dollars on Long Island, and have shown that businesses can really flourish here on Long Island, and Bob sits on our board, so thank you. 4, I agree with everything everyone else said before me, so congratulations, thank you, and enjoy the day. Might have been a couple of run-ups.
Thanks, Matt. Another person who leads a terrific organization here that Tritec is very proud to support is the Long Island Builders Institute. And we all know that our dear friend Mitch Paley led that organization for a long time. And it was like, when Mitch retired, who was going to take his place? And Libby found a terrific young man who's doing a great job leading the Long Island Builders Institute. Ladies and gentlemen, Mike Floria.
I just want to thank Donna for that history of Bayshore. I didn't realize the Golden guy had a place here. I love that mustard. Very good. I mean, this is a terrific day, and I thank you for having me here. You know, I think we should take a moment to just pause and recognize the victory that this is. I think Jim took a lot of the things I was going to say, so I can be even briefer. But the fact that you have the community, the town, and the county all with a win right here, and I would say this is a win for Long Island, because I mean, look at this place. It's beautiful, and we all know that there is a need for places like this and for more, that we have a housing shortage here, and this is the place for young people, older people, people in between. You know, we need more housing here. We need people, and it just shows that when the community and the government and the developer can all work together, you can accomplish these great things. And especially when you look at a family here in a company like Tritec, no one does it better than them. I mean, they could be building anywhere in the country. They're Long Islanders. They live here. They grew up here, and they're committed to this community. We want to keep them here, so I want to congratulate them and thank them for the work. And this is a great event. I look forward to doing more projects with all of you. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. All right, we're down to our last speaker. Is that worthy of an applause? Everyone has been terrific. You've heard the word often here today, family, and certainly with the Cotton family and the Tritec family, you got the Bayshore family, the Iceland family. But when it comes to the Cotton family, it really is something special. It starts with their patriarch here, who is Bob Coughlin Sr., who is just an amazing man. So Bob, thank you so much for being here today. Bob and Jim have some beautiful spouses, beautiful partners who really are caring people about Tritec and the Tritec family too. So Jan and Betsy, thank you so much for being here today. You know, part of our role, and Bob and Jim often say this, is talking about building the future and trying to help mentor the next generation. I feel like I did that a little bit with Matt. He's we always kid him. I always say he's my little brother, but he's really coming into his own. He's a terrific leader now for our region, and likewise at Tritec. The next generation of Tritec family members involved with the company. You heard Kelly before give an amazing presentation. Behind her, we also have Jimmy Coughlin, who is Jim's and Betsy's son, and then Megan Coughlin is with us here as well, and that's Bob and Jan's other daughter. And so Tritec, the future of Tritec is great. It's going to be bright, and we're very, very happy to have the whole Coughlin family with us for today. And that leads me to our last introduction of Bob Coughlin, who, with Jim, founded the company more than 35 years ago. And I talked about how smart and caring Jim was, and likewise Bob is like that as well. I got to know Bob when I was running the Long Island Association. I recruited Bob to be on our board, and we became friendly then. He really is, he's smart, he's decent, and he's really, he's compassionate, and he cares deeply about this island and this region, and that's why they put up with all of the challenges that Jim alluded to today. So he's a dear friend, a terrific leader of the company, and even though my name isn't Coughlin, Bob and Jim treat everybody who works at Tritec as Coughlin family members. Bob, thank you.
That was a nice introduction. It sounds like everybody already said everything I wanted to say. Kevin ushered us out the door and has the next generation coming in already.
Seriously, Cap, thank you very much for the introduction. I have the enviable spot of batting cleanup and thanking everybody that may have already been thanked or may not have already been thanked. But, you know, and when we're building projects, it seems like when we come to the end of a project, or I'd say transition to operations, the project's been built. I feel like you could write a book about that project. Every project we've ever done, it seems like we could write a book about it. There have been so many twists and turns in each one of these. And there have been a lot of chapters in this book, and we've alluded to a number of those chapters. We faced a lot of challenges as we went through this project. I think Donna had mentioned that we had the COVID pandemic, and we had supply chain issues. We had construction cost escalations. Interest rates went through the roof during that. Despite all that, our team really rose to the challenge, and they solved all these problems. They overcame them, and they really built just a magnificent project that we're very, very proud of here today. And there aren't many projects like this on Long Island, this beautiful. And it only gets built when you really have a dedicated group of people that have a shared vision for making a community better. And we wound up with a great group of people, and we're going to hear about some of them. We have countless individuals and organizations that really that supported us, that believed in us, that came out to bat for us at hearings or were helpful throughout the construction process. And time constraints are not going to allow us to name everybody individually, but I do want to recognize a few people. And some of them have been recognized already, but I think it's worth repeating, maybe from a different perspective. I want to actually start by mentioning Howie again. You know, Howie Stein has had a very, very challenging year, and we are so grateful that he's here today. You look great, Howie. Your hair's got to get a little longer. You look great. And Howie has been a consigliere to us for decades, and he, as Jim mentioned, this project really started because Howie called me up one day and told me that, hey, Touro's interested in potentially selling this project. I'm on the board because they want to find a developer that really cares about the community. They want to build something really nice in the community, but can also pay the highest price for the land, because I think you guys are perfect for it. So I took that as a compliment. And I did want to recognize Supervisor Romaine, County Executive Romaine. I'm used to calling him supervisor. We've worked with him quite a bit, as Jim had mentioned, in the past, in Brookhaven, a number of our other projects, particularly at Ronkonkoma Hub. And we are thrilled and excited about the opportunity to work with him even on a greater scale throughout the county. Obviously, when we first got the project, we first agreed on an agreement with Touro. The first thing we did is we went and met with Angie and Supervisor Carpenter. And Supervisor Carpenter was extremely supportive from the very beginning, from that very first meeting. I think the quote you said, if you build what you're talking about, I'm going to move in there. So we may hold that. And after that, the next meeting, and as Supervisor mentioned, our next meeting was with Donna Garicone, President of the Chamber. And Donna, it would be an understatement to say that she has been a pleasure to deal with. She has been a fantastic supporter throughout the process. Now, from our perspective, those were two very, very important meetings. Because, as you've probably heard us say before, we only want to go where we're wanted. And we had Supervisor Carpenter and Donna Garicone, the two most powerful women in the region, supporting the project. We knew if both of these women were supporting the project, the community was going to support the project. And we felt comfortable moving forward with that investment. So thank you both very, very much for that. And our next stop, I was alluded to, was with Bill Mannix and John Walser. Bill has since retired, but it was really important. As Jim had mentioned, he had gone through the reasons and challenges that we face here on Long Island in attracting capital. Going through the entitlement process is one thing, but also attracting capital. And in order to make it financially viable, our project's financially viable, it's essential for us to have IBA benefits. And Bill and John were extremely helpful in securing those benefits and going through that process. So I want to thank them. Our next stop was going out to the county to talk about affordable housing. And we met with Suffolk County Economic Development, and again, extremely supportive. Ed had mentioned before the $2.5 million. We have 84 affordable housing units here. And without that support, this project wouldn't have been economically viable. So I want to thank them. As you can see, it's not as straightforward. You go to the bank and say, I got a great idea. It's a very challenging process, and we need a lot of support, and we've received a lot of support. All right, I have a lot of people to thank here. I'm going to mention our legal team, because that's I'm just kind of going chronologically. We have our financial partners here. We're very thankful for their support. We've had a wonderful relationship with JP Morgan and their entire team. We're looking forward to a long-lasting relationship, growing relationship. We have Gordy Cloud representing Cloth, representing Truist Bank over here. And Gordy, this is, I think, our third project together, and another great project. We're looking forward to doing more with Gordy. Our legal team, I mentioned Howie. Howie's here with Michelle Stieglitz, John Wagner, who you all probably know, Barry Cohen, and Jerry Behar from Tillman Ballin, Mike Gordon, Dean Roy from Aaron Fox, Gene DiNicolia, the wise man who helped us through the entitlement process, and then Peter Curry from Travel Fits, who helped us in supporting us through the IDA process. We've already heard that Sal designed a nice project, but I want to say it again, Sal. Fantastic job. Sal Coco, Janice Kirschbaum, and their team at BHC Architects did just an outstanding job, and we've now got a magnificent project. Thank you, Sal. We're thankful to our engineers, VHB Engineering and MTech. Our property management team. I heard today we already signed 4 more leases today, and as they pointed out to me, the day's not over, which is great. Graystar's been doing a fantastic job. Roto, I want to thank Roto Grocery for joining us as our commercial tenant, and all of the tenants and residents that are made this their home. I'm sure they realize, as we do, it's a fantastic community, and I think they can truly enjoy being part of it. I want to thank Peter Elkowitz and James Britz, Long Island Housing Partnership, for assisting us in going through for affordable leasing, for leasing our affordable housing units, and they are always a pleasure to work with. I'm on their board actually, and they run a really nice shop, tight ship over there. So thank you for your support. During the entitlement process, the approval process, we had a lot of support. We mentioned Long Island Builders Institute. Mitch Palley was a very strong advocate and supporter, and continues to be. And we had Matt Cohen, who came out to every hearing, every meeting, and thank you for your support, Matt. Our local, we had Artie Cipoletti, Grant Hendricks, 2 local boys, who rallied a lot of local support for the project. And both of their companies did a tremendous job building this beautiful facility. I want to thank Matty Arisich. Mentioned before, but Matty likes hearing his name more than once. President of the Building Trades Construction Organization. I think it's the Nassau-Suffolk. It's a Construction Trades Council of Nassau and Suffolk. We also had more than 50 companies and over 900 employees that Kelly mentioned on this project, and we're thankful to all of them as well. And I wanted to mention the Shoregate Tritec team. So all these people that I'm mentioning are just not working at Tritec. These are people that actually work here on this project. You heard from Kelly, my daughter, earlier. Kelly was with me. She really shepherded the entire project from the beginning, and she coordinated every aspect of the project, along with Rob Kent, who's our partner, in-house counsel, and he was a co-developer throughout the process as well. We also had Chris Mahoney on our development team, Jimmy Coghlan, Karen Shellhorst, Linda Loviando, and our assistant Carrie. We really wouldn't know where to go if Carrie didn't tell us where we're supposed to be that day. Tritec Building Company, we have a pre-con group with his Marty DiPasquale, Executive Vice President, oversees our coordination of our design consultants and our estimating team. Marianne Alvarado and Roderick Marquand work with him. Our Tritec Building Company field team, led by Ken Aburami, and then we had 2 co-project managers, Vin Duran and Rich Krill. On site with them were Kyle Bullhofer, Josh Barstock, Artie Callahan, Kenny Gomez, Rick Del Giorno, Timmy Brown Sr., Randy Antoine, Jacob Rami, Jennifer Anucci, Christine Lamar, Nicole Martins, and our unsung accounting team, led by our CFO, Hanukkah Talbot, along with Kira Kolopchek, Alyssa Merkel, Candace Sozi, Carol Lyon, and Stephanie Diaz. Our insurance team, led by Joan Bentavegna, Jennifer White, and Michael Short. And I think Chris Kelly, our marketing team, deserves an enormous round of applause for putting this all together today. Along with Jessica Nelson. I think Chris has the enviable job of community outreach as well. He's met every owner of a business here in a community. And part of that job is that he goes to a lot of restaurants and bars, and it sounds like it's all fun and games, except that he leaves there and he goes back and he works to the wee hours of the night, most nights, in order to crank out marketing material, prepare for marketing for upcoming events. And it truly does a Herculean effort on his part. So thank you, Chris. And Kevin has already mentioned, but I want to just mention again our wives, Jan, my wife, and Betsy, Jim's wife. Without them, we would not be here today, and thank you very much for all your support. And last and certainly not least, I want to acknowledge my brother Jim. We're celebrating 38 years this year. We're working together. We've been brothers longer. We've had a heck of a good run together. I think we both feel that we have a lot more to offer. But Kevin seems to have us going out the door. Now, right after this event, it's been mentioned before, we have an event called Shore Bites and Brews. There's 17 restaurants, local restaurants, 3 breweries that are coming here. The Shoregate's an opportunity for us to introduce Shoregate to the community and for our residents to meet the community as well. But it's also an opportunity for us to support Long Island Cares. And Long Island Cares, you're probably aware, is a large regional food bank supporting food insecurity and on Long Island. Just to put a little point on that, I think most of us are aware that there's a problem with food insecurity, but there are 230,000 people a day that here on the island with food insecurity. And 67,000 of those are young people, children. So this event will provide over 4,500 meals. And while Tritec, we build communities, and that means we are supporting families. And for us, families get together around the dinner table. So it was natural for us to choose Long Island Cares as one of our primary groups to support. And we're very thankful that they're here. And if you have an opportunity, please come out and support them as well. So thank you very much for coming. And I think we're now going to cut the ribbon, Chris. Is that accurate? Okay. So if you were speaking, if you wouldn't mind coming up this way, Chris is going to direct us. And then shortly, I think we're probably going to have some refreshments. I'm going to need a little help with that, but we're going to have some refreshments up there.
Okay, guys, on 3. Ready? 1, 2, and 3.